that people ask me about. It's just one of those things people ask me about from time to time. And relationship. Hey Tom, how did your relationship start? Did you have any issues? What were the problems? What are you running into? I'm finding I'm having a few issues with my lady. I found my lady and we're getting along well, but we're having a few issues. And I really need to talk to you about it, and I really need to go over it with you. And so, you know, there's the cultural differences. I have to tell you, the differences of the culture itself can actually make a difference on the relationship. We're used as Americans, we're used to having a certain way of talking. We kind of just say it like it is. We kind of tell each other or tell people, a neighbor, friend, next door, we kind of tell it like it is. Well, how's your day? Well, it's not going so good. And we just tell it like it is. Where here, you can do the same, but sometimes maybe they don't understand you. Maybe they have a problem finding the way that they can communicate with you well, meaning they are saying, well, what does he mean by that? Why is he saying it that way? I misunderstood him completely. And he's talking way too fast. Why is he talking so fast? And so today we're going to talk about these things. You know, there was this guy that I've been talking to along, and he's having this problem with his lady. He said, I found my lady. She's a province girl. She's really has a good attitude. I really love her. I like her. We got along really well. We met actually at a mall. She was eating and we got to talking. She's at the table across, and one thing led to another, and I asked for a date. She said sure, but she lives out in the province and she kind of stays with a cousin in town. But on the weekend, she goes to the province. And he said, well, we can do something like that and meet in the province or something. So they set a date for like a Saturday. And it's a day date, where he'd go there daily. And she was to meet him at this certain place. So he calls her on the way and they meet. And this gas station on a corner, and they meet, and she's there, and he's going, and he said, I'll never forget this. We're going a path on the motorcycle. It's a very thin path. And he said, Filipino, great drivers, could get on these paths. It had gullies in it. And off to the right was a big creek, a canal of water. And off to the left was like a little cliff. He said, you had to be very careful, very slippery mud. Gets there to the house, everything is fine. He gets there and talks to the family and says hi. Some speak a little English, especially children. And the adults, of course, didn't understand a word he said. So he was trying to deal with that. And he says, yeah, so it's a day date. And he brought a cake. Now, I don't know how they carried that cake on that motorcycle. I didn't ask. He said he brought a cake and offered a cake for them, for the kids and everything, so they could have something to snack on. Ended up getting with this girl. They ended up getting married after a few months. 6 months down the road, they got married, and then he's finding there's cultural differences. Around the family is fine because the children would help communicate, would help have that communication. The door would be open. So if she didn't understand something, she could ask children, the Messiah, and they could just explain it to him. But he didn't really realize that was because they were, with the family probably 60% of the time. The rest of the time he was at the mall and meeting her for lunch, but it was limited time. She's on her breaks, she's on lunch, and he can't really disturb her. You can't only go there a certain time, and you can't really just bother her, because she's on a job, and you don't want to affect anything that happens there. So he said I would limit my time. I'd go there when I could and meet with her because she's a very sweet lady. But now we're married, and I find that she's on her Facebook, and I find sitting on the TV watching TV. And then I find myself going, okay, what do I do now? We're not really talking. We're not really communicating. We're not really having that relationship. Her attitude seems fine, but she's not really talking to me. So he reached out to me, and I says, maybe, is there someone from the church that's locally around you? Is there a church that you guys, where you living? He says, well, we're living not far from them, the parents, but living in between the mall and the parents. I said, okay. So maybe you can find somebody from the church that could help counsel you and counsel her and help her with her English. And that's where she needed help. So they did that. They found someone that could help them And he said it was fine for a while, and then she didn't want to go anymore. It's too much work for her. And of course, he put it to her, "What, our relationship's too much work for you?" She goes, "No, I don't like that lady. She's kind of too bossy to me, and I don't like her." He said, "Okay, we'll find someone else." So finally, they ended up finding a teacher that was locally around that they could reach out to, and she would help help there, and in other words, she'd go like an hour a day when she could, and to help the relationship. Well, come to find out, really a lot of the problems they're having, it's just a culture shock for her, and it's a culture shock for him, because he was finding that she wanted it this way and he was doing it this way, but they couldn't communicate and have that talk. And so it's very important, once you find your Filipina, make sure she understands who you are, what you expect, and what you require. I mean, what religion are you? Uh, what do you like? What do you not like? Do you like watching movies? What do you like eating for food? What's your favorite colors? The common questions you should ask someone. Well, he did, but he didn't get in detail. What he said, "I don't even know what favorite color she likes." Well, that would be obvious. You should have done that in the beginning. But then the communication, she nodded her head, and when they first met, like she understood what he was saying, and obviously she didn't understand a lot of the English he was saying. So he thought that she understood. Well, there was the problem. There is the problem. And so later on, when he asked, he said, "I told you about that." She goes, "No, you didn't." And he goes, "I did the first day we met." She goes, "I did not understand anything you said." Not in that words, but that's what it was. And sometimes he says the family would get involved, and then the family would come over and family get involved in the relationship. And it got to the point where it was actually taking a lot of time away from their bonding and their time together. So I said, "Here's the thing. Is there a sister?" "Yes." "Is there a close sister?" "Yes." And maybe a nephew or somebody, and the sister has married, he says, "Sister has 2 children." "Okay." "Is she married?" "No." "Okay." I said, "Here's something you can do. Take the sister and the 2 children and your wife, go on a little uh, 2-day trip, 3 days, 2 nights, 3 or 4 days out, go to a resort and have that communication, that bonding, bond with the children, and have the sister help bond with the wife." And so that's exactly what they started doing. And not just going there, they would go to the parks, and not necessarily that sister, but maybe one of the nephews or nieces that's, 8, 10, 12 years old that understands English and Visaya could just explain anything to her that she had a problem understanding. Because he said that I would like to go do this, and he'd go over here and do this, and she says, like a deer in headlights. So he says sometimes we still have that problem, that bond that I'm trying to build. It's hard. It's really hard. The cultural differences and the language barrier will actually be detriment to your relationship. I don't care how much you know her. Even to this day, even Ruth and I, she'll say something. I go, "What in the world are you talking about?" And I'll say something to her, and it goes right over her head. I mean, it goes way over her head. She doesn't even understand anything I'm saying. And I think she's mad at me, and she's not mad at me. And she thinks I'm mad at her, and I'm not mad at her. I said, it's just who we are, right? But we learn through time and learn through efforts. So what we started doing, like today, for example, we had what we call a date lunch. We went out and had lunch together. I said, "Put the phones down, put everything down. How you doing?" "I'm doing good." "How's your headache?" "I'm fine. That medicine worked fine." And then talk about the daily things. "Okay, I think I'm about doing this. I think we should do this. I think we should add that gutter on this house. What do you think?" "Yeah, I think we should too. Let's go by and see." So we started communicating and having that bond. Even though we're here at the house, we find that, "Oh, I'm on the TV," or "I'm here on YouTube doing a video," or "She's over there doing a video," or the dog, or a neighbor comes over, she's out there talking to them for a little while, and then our family stops by, and as you know, then that leads to something else and leads to something else, and before you know it, you're on. You don't really get to talk during the day. Sometimes money can be an issue, meaning that you're not giving her any money. And as an American, as foreigners, you should always, people like to have money. People like to have something in their pocket. A lot of guys, I talked to a guy, he says, I never give my wife money. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I go shopping, I pay for everything. If she wants dress, I buy it. I said, she needs her money. She needs money from you. Give her $100 a month, or give her, uh, $20. Give her something that she can have for her. Maybe she wants makeup. Maybe she wants cologne. Maybe she wants a different type top. Maybe she wants something she wants. Maybe it's something that she wants to buy you. Give her money. Even if it's 100 or 200, give her something a month that she knows that she can plan. Maybe she wants to save for something. Everybody likes that feeling of knowing that you have that and you can have it. I remember back a long time ago with me, I started to I said I'm going to save money. So I started cutting out things that I need for my health. For example, oh, I need vitamins. I said I don't need those. I'm not taking those. Or I need this shirt. It's got a hole. It's okay. I'll wear this shirt another year. I'll wait on a t-shirt. And so you find yourself cut things out that you really need. I mean, you got to live life. It's going to cost money. Like today, I wasn't expecting to spend $100 going to town. Well, we spent $100. And it's easy, $50, $60 in food, $10, $15 for lunch, and other things that you buy, just things, like we had to get some glue, and Ruth needs some stuff for extra for cake, so she goes over to the cake supply store, and before you know it, there's the money that's gone, but it's okay. That's life, and you have to be prepared for it. But not talking is the problem a lot of times. You have to have that time with your Filipina that you can take the time and talk to her. And like I said, a date, or maybe go to a park, or go out and just maybe certain things. Now, a lot of times you can actually reach out to church. If she's a member of the church, 90% of the people here are Christian. I say maybe 100%, because Catholic religion is the basis of the Philippines back whenever, and they Spanish came here and they brought the Catholic religion, and mostly everybody is Catholic and or SDA, Baptist, Church of God. There's many denominational churches here that people are members of. If you say Church of Christ, okay, he's a member, or a Jehovah's Witness, they're here. I mean, there's so many churches that are here. I mean, we had this week alone 2 Jehovah's Witnesses come by 2 different times at the house, and as you know, so there's always that. You can reach out to the church for help, and always take the time and listen to what's going on in that. You don't realize that, uh, and even if you can get a mediator, and a mediator could be a family member, a mediator could be someone from the church, someone that's maybe a family friend, or someone that you respect, a teacher. And he reached out to a teacher and talked to them and ask them to help them along, because we all need that guidance sometimes to help bond that relationship with your wife. The I have noticed recently quite a few people have reached out and said that they're having a communication problem, and the communication is when they are talking to the wife. The wife is not answering them back, and then the guy gets flustered and he says, I don't know what to do. I've talked to her till I'm blue in the face and she's not responding. And I said, it could be a communication issue. Well, I thought the same thing. I said, have her family or somebody from the family or church or whomever come over, or neighbor come over and sit in the house and tell her Messiah. She may get mad. Depends how you approach it. And I said, you have to approach it very delicately. You have to ask her straight up, hey, would it be better if we have a communicator come in to help guide you and me? And so the guy tried to learn Messiah, and he said he's like me. And he said, no matter what words he said, it came out slang and it came out wrong. And people would laugh at him. And not trying to humiliate him, but after a while, he got to the point, he was like me. He just stopped. He said, I just stopped. He said, I can say, gigutum. I said, many things I can say, but there's a lot of things that if people want to talk to me, that Visaya, no, 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 no. And the same thing, you go to them, nosebleed, nosebleed, English, nosebleed, nosebleed. And so you'll have that. But two, if something's bothering her health-wise, you want to make sure that you have that bond set up with her, that if something is bothering her, and she's got a headache or stomach ache or something internally happening in her body, you want to be aware of it. You want to just say, hey, I am so sorry this is happening. And you want to be aware of it so you can help her, because you surely don't want your wife sick and not be able to take care of her, because she's your world, she is your life. And so many guys don't realize, they kind of forget that, and they kind of just let the Filipina do her thing. But she'll have ailments she won't tell you about. A Filipino will hide their ailments. They will not tell you what's bothering them. They will tell you. So you have to ask them. I ask Ruth all the time, are you okay, health-wise, everything? And she tells me straight, yes, I'm fine, but I do have a problem with my back, my knees, or this hurting me. So we find the medication or whatever, doctor, if she has to go to the doctor, whatever, to help her feel better, because they will hold it in. And it's like my sister-in-law, she'll hold something in, and she'll not say, well, and she stands up, she gets dizzy. Well, come to find out, it's not blood pressure, it's something else internally going on. So I said, well, let's go to the doctor. And well, they can't, they don't have, well, we're going to go to the doctor. So Ruth took him to the doctor, and whatever, took care of him, paid for it, whatever. Well, you have to find out what's happening with, because they won't tell you. Now, the men are like that also. It's a culture itself. They're more internal. They don't, sometimes will not show their feelings, and sometimes they'll overshow in a drama situation and tell their feelings when they get up to the limit here. And it's like anything else. All of us have that limit. I don't care who we are. We can only take so much of something, whether it's good or bad. That even good, sometimes too much of good, you know what I'm saying? Oh, hi, like that can be stressful and irritating and obnoxious. Because I know that even, like, for an example, I told Ruth the other day, are you feeling okay? She says, you know what? I'm glad you asked me. I said, what's wrong? She says, my back's hurting me. And I said, okay. I said, maybe stretch exercises. And they've helped her along. And stretch exercises. Because I tell her, I said, listen, and you guys need to tell your Filipinas this too. You've been through a lot in your life because you're older and you've been through a lot. Most everything is happening to her, you've already been through 20 years ago. If it's a back or knee, or if you're into sports, you're very familiar with what you need to do to repair your body. If you've fallen and hurt yourself, I mean, you pretty well know what you need to do because you've been to the doctor for it, and the doctor told you what you needed to do, right? Take this medication, do this, stretch, do this, do this, do this. Because eating well and stretching and doing things for the body is one of the best things. And I tell Ruth that all the time, and I started R on the same program that they start doing that, and that's well worth it. And I'm glad they are starting to do that and exercise more. And I'm fall short on that. I have to tell you, I'm no expert on exercise. I don't like the aspect. Okay, let's go exercise. Oh man, I'm not one of those guys. But if you say, okay, let's go dig a ditch from here to the end of the street, I said, okay, I'll be the first, and I'll dig as far as I can do until I stop. And then I'm ready after 15, 20 minutes, I'll do it again. But that's me. That's my deal. I'm project driven, personality focused guy. That's what I am. And so by me focusing on that, it helps me get to exercise and things like that. So I have to get back and doing more projects for me personally. But I want to talk about this cultural thing. This is really a big thing. And this affects a lot of guys. I don't care. You can ask any American or any foreigner anywhere. I don't care where they're from throughout the world. And they're going to say, why is my Filipina sometimes not talk to me? Why is my Filipina? Even, I don't care if you've been married 20 years and if they've been here and you've been here all the whole time. Now, if they've been OFW, okay, they'll understand a lot more. If they've been outside the country, okay, or US, okay, or UK, or any Australia, they understand. But if someone is here and you're talking to them, they're going to look at you and say, what in the world is he talking about? And you have to slow down your voice. And you have to take the time and slow down your voice and listen to what they're saying, because you don't realize they're saying something that is for you. They're saying something that they're trying to tell you their point. But I want to thank you so much for always watching our videos. This is Tom and Ruth from Tom and Ruth Podcast. And I want to thank you for spending your valuable time with me today. And I will see you guys next time on Tom and Ruth podcast.